Hello and welcome to GTO Coach and Go. I'm Jim Dellerman with Group Travel Odyssey, and I want to thank you once again for joining us this week. Just a couple of reminders. Again, if you're joining us on LinkedIn, make sure you follow us on LinkedIn. If you are joining us through YouTube, make sure you subscribe. That's the little button down here. Also ring the bell. That way you'll get a notification whenever we have new content on our YouTube channel. Well, this week we are going to start talking about an issue that I think we all face, but very few of us do anything about, and that is cleaning our data. What does that mean exactly? How do you go about doing it? What does it cause? What happens with our business if we don't have clean data? This afternoon, I want to introduce somebody who's been with us before, but she's going to take us through part of this process as well, and we're going to have a discussion about cleaning data. So please welcome Sierra Jenin to our stream today. Hi, Sierra. Welcome back.
Hello. Thank you.
So as I was saying, we're going to be talking about cleaning data today and what that entails, what exactly that means, and how it's important to every company, including especially people in your position where you're an accuracy guru. You have a team of people whose business it is to make sure that data is accurate as it's going into our system. So what does it mean to have clean data to you?
I'll start in supplier, because we'll talk about supplier data, because that data is overall pretty much for any operator and or supplier that may be using our system. So on the supplier end, clean data means we'll just start from the top of what you see or what you select in your proposals is the supplier name. And we have a naming convention that we use, a rule, if you will, that it is the exact name of the company. So I've heard from some of our users that, the hotel names especially are very long in GTO, but that was made on purpose. And the hotel names come exactly like you would see it on the website. So if you're researching a hotel and you go to look for it in GTO, that's the exact name that you have to search for. So just as simple as cleaning up names. When I get new operators that are joining the system, their old data that we're going to input into GTO, if it's a supplier we don't have, and they might call it Hard Rock whatever, or Intrepid. We talked about the Intrepid. The Intrepid can just say Intrepid Museum. It might say Intrepid Airspace, et cetera, the full name. So just the exact name of what that supplier is. So that's just the simplest form of kind of cleaning up and making sure that it's accurate. Then you move down to the address. I just yesterday was inputting a supplier for an operator that they used in 2018 or 2019, but since the supplier has changed addresses, they've changed locations, same supplier, just a different location. And in their old database, it had the old address, but I did a little bit of research and was able to get the new address and have that accurate in our system. So it's just as simple as that. And why is that important? The supplier data feeds into your sales system. And then that sales goes to trips, it goes to ops. And when your operations team gets it, or whoever's actually booking the supplier, they have the accurate supplier name. They have the accurate phone number, the contacts, the address, everything, the right website, which I've been finding more and more, the websites are down and or have taken the time during COVID to upgrade while they don't have a lot of business. So everything has changed this past year and a half. And so it's now more than ever, we need to update stuff and make sure that we have accurate information, clean data, if you will. So then it goes from ops into group accounting. Very, very important. They have the correct address and contacts for that. And then it goes to your final itinerary that is going to your tour director or your driver. And having the wrong address is a make or break situation in that sort of scenario. So everything feeds off of this data in our system, and especially in Supplier Manager, which is why we really try to take control of that and make sure that it's accurate, and we don't just input the information that the new tour operators that are coming on have in their old database. I actually hand research with my team everything that goes into Supplier Manager to make sure it's the most up to date when it goes in the system.
And just adding to that a little bit, since you guys are doing that as you're inputting new suppliers and as you're uploading information from our users, what that does then is make it easier for you to maintain. So if you take the time as you're entering something to make sure that it's correct when you're entering it, then that's going to save you some time. So that's going to then, as you're maintaining and as you're moving forward, it's going to make it easier for you to be able to do so a little bit faster. You don't have to go back and second guess it. You don't have to go back and double check to make sure that you have the correct naming convention and things like that. Naming conventions, that is something you talked briefly about. How, with the suppliers, you said that you chose to have it the way that it's listed on their website. So that's their actual name. What would you suggest, like for an operator who is entering accounts or entering a lot of schools into a system? What would you suggest they use as a naming convention, or how is it important that they make sure that all their schools are listed in the same way?
So I can't answer for each operator. What I can say, though, is consistency is key. We talk a lot about in our team, as long as you're consistent and your company uses the system how you have, you see fit, that is what really matters. And why it matters in consistency is for searching purposes. In the sales system, so if you're wanting to search your contacts for, let's say you're going to do a sales blitz to every vice principal that you have as a prospect for a sales contact. If one of your salespeople, tour consultants, whatever your operations uses, says VP, the other one says vice pres, the other one says vice president, well, then you either need to search by all three of those or make it consistent across your operations in calling it one thing. We do give the flexibility in sales to add new tags and new titles as you see fit. So and also on tags, it's the same thing. You can tag a vice president. You can tag, let's say you have a cool new product that you can only offer to fourth grade, fourth grade trips. I know right now all the national parks, fourth graders can get into for free. Maybe that's a cool trip you're trying to put together and target fourth grade teachers. You can pick fourth grade. You can pick elementary school. You can put on a bunch of different tags, fourth grade band, fourth grade, whatever it might be. I think we have the ability to add over 10 tags just to contacts, accounts, that sort of thing. So then when you do go to search for that and you're trying to target a certain person or certain groups of people, it makes it a lot easier. But again, how your company chooses to tag things, as long as it's consistent, then it's very easy to search. But it's those VP, vice pres, vice president that makes it a little more difficult to search. So I don't want to tell you how to name things, because I think that's up to your company. But I will say, if your company can meet and discuss on exactly how you want to name and label things moving forward, it's only going to increase productivity in your search abilities in the system.
It's a very good point. It's consistency is key. Consistency is key whatever your company or organization decides that consistency needs to be is fine, as long as everybody is using it. And also, taking the time to correct the information that you find that is not correct. I mean, every little bit of information, every little bit of data that you clean or correct as you're going on is going to make it that much more consistent, that much more accurate, and that much more worthy. IBM came out with a bit of data basically saying that it costs corporations $3.1 trillion a year by having bad data. So that's what they're losing every year by having bad data. And so what does that mean? Well, it means that if you don't have consistency, if you don't have accuracy, if you've not filled in all of the fields, if you're pulling a report and you're creating a marketing campaign on that report, but the data isn't complete, or the fields have been left open, you're not getting all of the data that you need in order to make that accurate report, in order to actually make that a worthwhile marketing campaign. So all of this does circle back around again and make it hugely important for a company. Without clean data, it ends up that a company can end up losing money or wasting money. And we are certainly at a time period right now where nobody can afford to do something like that. So that's why we felt this was very relevant today. How do we go about consolidating? How do we go about parsing out the data in order to make it easier to correct? Well, it is a daunting task, but instead of looking at it as something that needs to be done as one complete set, break it down. For those of you who are tour operators, you can break it down by market segment. So if you know that you deal with student tours and you have elementary schools, middle schools, high schools, you can separate that list out. Pull all your elementary schools, have somebody work on the elementary schools and make sure that they're all consistent. So if you have PS 21 and P period S period 21, if you had PS hyphen 21, there are so many ways that you can have it listed for the exact same client. Your company needs to decide what that consistency is going to be. What is the data that needs to be put in there, and what does your style guide need to look like in order for everybody to have the exact same data as they're entering it? Well, whoever's using that, whoever's going through the elementary section can then merge those, or they can go ahead and fix those so that way it is consistent and it is correct. If you're doing it on a spreadsheet, you can separate it, you can go ahead and separate it out alphabetically, so that way you can go through and see, oh, these look like they're exactly the same. And then you can do a little research and find out if they are the same, and you can go ahead and consolidate everything so that way you have one correct record instead of 3 partial records for the same school. So don't always look at it as one big task. Look at it as breaking things down and taking some time to do it. If you break it down into smaller segments, it does make it a little bit easier for you and your team to go ahead and correct it and make your data much more accurate, much more usable.
Yeah, I do want to, Jim, you mentioned a couple things that brought up some ideas. We've noticed now, I told you on the supplier side, we are double checking everything that goes into that system, down to, everything. However, on the sales side, that is specific to your operation. So whatever tour operator that we are uploading your information when we first onboard you into the system, we do not clean up any of that. That is your information. We do not touch that. So in the upload process, if you had blank spaces in your Excel sheet, it would upload a blank account or a blank contact, wherever that blank was. So for those of you that have just started on the system recently, or maybe you've been using it for months, if you get a little bit of time and you see some blanks, go ahead and delete those. That happened in the upload process from whatever system you were using before when we inputted. So that'll be a quick, you see what, a bunch of blanks, delete. If you have, the reason you don't want duplicate accounts, under an account, you have all of your, an account has the same information mostly, right? They have the same address, they have the same phone number, they have website, all of the different things that you keep track of. But for me, I think the most important thing are the activities that you do with that supplier. And so every contact, or account, sorry, every activity that you have, whether it's a phone call, an email, a marketing piece that you sent out, you can keep track of under that one supplier. But if you have XYZ High School in 4 times as an account, well, you might have, one activity under XYZ1, one activity under XYZ2, even though it's the same account. And it's the same thing with trips. If you want an overall, a snapshot of what XYZ High School has done with you in the past, well, when you've got it under 4 separate accounts, then whatever trip that account is linked to, even though it's the same, but it was entered multiple times, then you've got to look at all 4 XYZ accounts instead of just one. And so there is the ability, if and when you do start cleaning your data up, if you want to get rid of some of your duplicate accounts, so you have one accurate one with all of the information that you've ever done with that account, and there's a trip link to it, you can change in that trip the account to the correct one and then delete out the old one. And, if anybody needs help with exactly how that works, if they're afraid to delete something that's going to hurt something, our team can always help with that. But as long as there's not a trip associated with an account, we can delete it out. And even if there is a trip, we can still change it to the correct account and then delete out the duplicate. So there are plenty of ways that we can help you. If you're afraid to delete something, you don't want to hurt something, we can help you figure that out. But that's, one snapshot, and being able to see XYZ High School has traveled every 2 years with you for the past 10 years is a game changer compared to XYZ 1, 2, 3, 4, all in different accounts, all with different activities, all with different trips, etc. So that, again, will just increase your productivity and how you deal with clients on a daily basis, really.
And actually, I don't want anybody out there to think that this is unique to you. This happens everywhere. Every company, I come from the supplier side in my history. Every company that I've worked for, we've had that same issue where we will have a client call us and say, "Oh, I've done business with you for the past 10 years." And if we do research into our system, we would find out, oh, yeah, there are 3 accounts with basically the same name and same information, but one was used for the first 3 years, one was used for the next 3 years. And so you're not getting a complete snapshot of their sales history because you have those multiple accounts. But again, it happens to everybody. It's not just unique to 1 or 2 companies. It's not just unique on the tour operator side as opposed to the supplier side. So, we all have the issue with actually maintaining and double checking on data. One of the easiest things to do is before you go in to create a new trip or to create a new account, double check to make sure that that account is not already there. Also, if you know who the contact is, search for the contact as well and see if maybe perchance the contact is in there, but their company was spelled the wrong way or something. So there are other ways that you can search through to make sure that the information is not already in the system and maybe just needs to be corrected. But again, once you do have something in there, if you have multiple accounts and need to know how to consolidate them or get rid of them, let us know. We'll help you out. We'll help you out with that. So, but yeah, it's it is one of those things that we've all seen and we've all been a part of. I've had companies that I've worked for that every year we would take time during our less stressful times of the year. Let me put it that way, because nobody has downtime during the year anymore. But some of our less stressful times, we would take time to go through a certain market segment. And so that, therefore, every year we had a team of people that were going through and making sure that the data was being maintained, and that we were merging, and then that we were getting rid of old data. So that way we had the most accurate information, and our systems worked a lot better because of it. So that's another thing to keep in mind.
I will say, every email that I get from a supplier, I go into the system, I search for that supplier, and I go into immediately the contacts and make sure that whoever just sent that email, that I have their appropriate contact information, their title, their, cell phone number if it's in there. Sometimes, now because a lot of people were working from home, now their cell phone signatures in their, or cell phone is in their signature, which we've never had before. So I throw that in there. Every single email, I am checking contacts and suppliers to make sure that those contacts are in there. And it can be the same thing for your contacts. If you find out that, Superman isn't with XYZ high school anymore, you can move Superman into unassigned. And so we have given contacts different titles, different levels that you can choose. And we do have one that is called unassigned. And so when Superman leaves a high school and isn't associated with a high school, you don't have to delete them. You can put them in unassigned. And that way, every activity that you've still had with Superman, you still have his, birthday, and you want to send a birthday card, even though he's not assigned to a high school right now, you still can. So pay attention. We have, this system was designed by tour operators and suppliers. I mean, you came from the supplier side. I've been a tour director for years and years. Everybody that works for GTO has been involved in the business for a long time. And so we've really kind of tried to design a lot of things to help you keep track of things and not lose your data, but also maintain it. And so we have assigned, I forget what we call it, but titles and tags and all of those things, so that when and if that contact or that account becomes inactive or no longer with them and you want to unassign it, you just change it. It will take you, 2 seconds to change it from XYZ high school to then unassigned. And so if and when, and again, it's, if you don't have time right now, I hope you're all extremely busy and selling for your own sakes, that you don't have time to go through your entire database right now. Be cognizant about it when you're working through it and you find out Superman's no longer there. Change it. It will take a couple seconds and it will improve, so many things throughout your organization, especially in years to come when you send a marketing piece to Superman that hasn't been with a high school for, 4 years. So just know that everything has a way to make it inactive or active or prospective. There's all those different things, all those different titles that we can change. And also, again, that will help in your search. If you don't want to see any of your inactive accounts, you only want to see active, you can filter by that. And so again, it's kind of that consistency and being able to search better that will, again, increase your productivity.
And Sierra, I've been asked, as we're going through training and as we're going through demos and stuff, about the number of fields that we actually have in the database, as far as in the accounts and in the contacts as well. The ones that are required are the ones that have little red stars by them. So those are the ones you do have to put in. However, all of the rest of that is just helping to define your data a little bit more. So if you choose to fill them all in, you have a complete data set. And then when it comes time to search, you can search by more, detailed methods, so depending upon how much you actually put in, it gives you a little more ability to kind of refine your searching. So, keep that in mind too. We always tell people, utilize what you need for your business. You guys know your businesses well. You know what you need in order to succeed with data entry. Just make sure that you're doing it consistently, and make sure that you're utilizing everything that you're going to need for your marketing campaigns, for your reporting, for everything else that you may have as well. Hey, Sierra, what do we have coming up that will also help functionality and entering contacts and stuff like that in the future of GTO? Are there new things that are in development that we can talk about right now?
There's always something new, Jim. I don't know. I know that we have a supplier portal that is in the works, and we just had a meeting with a gentleman in Jordan today that is helping us build that from a building standpoint. But we are going to have the ability for suppliers to input their own information in real time that then goes into our system, that I just double check that the pricing is correct in the correct boxes. That way it translate into sales, right? But it will be a seamless process. It's done directly by the supplier. And so you're getting the most accurate information because it's coming basically right out of their fingertips. So that's exciting. We are working on a way to possibly in supplier, give you a little more, give the tour operators a little more access to be able to input their own information. That's, kind of in development and talking right now. But I mean, just those boxes that we already created where you can put your own notes in. I know some of our operators have already started using that, which is exciting. We've got some exciting things in the works. I don't know that I can release all the details yet, though.
But we do, and it's interesting because we, as we get feedback from you, all of you out there that are using the system, that's kind of what is guiding us into the next steps and the new features and the new apps that are being developed, because we're finding ways to help you become more efficient, but also, especially with the supplier information, it's still giving the ability for us to maintain it. So even information that the suppliers are going to be able to put in, or once we get finished developing for certain operators to be able to put in some information, it comes back to us still for review. So it's not like it just automatically gets published. So again, we're huge on accuracy, and since we have spent so much time and effort into building a system that is going to create more efficient work environments, we want to make sure it is maintained that way. So even though other people may be inputting some information, it still has to go through Sierra and her team for accuracy. And then once they get it to be what it actually needs to be, they can go ahead and make it live. So, and it is a process, again, that has taken out a lot of the time, or will be taking out a lot of the time of just the manual entry of it. So it is exciting. So fingers crossed that happens soon.
It is. Yeah. Very exciting. And when we're talking about, clean data and no duplicates, and we were talking about how it happens to everyone, if you all could see the way our system started with so many people entering suppliers, and I talked about how naming is big, we had so many duplicates, and we're a system that is made to be accurate and to have one supplier with all the information attached to that one supplier. But we have so many that we've had to weed out ourselves, that we've done when we were first starting, and really trying to figure out how to make this accurate, and how we could tell everybody to search by the actual name or search by the address. And so, we're guilty of it ourselves in our early stages. If you all could see what we could see in some of our early duplicates, you all would laugh as well. So it does happen to everybody, and it's taken us a long time to get where we are in the supplier manager. And so we understand that it's going to take you some time in your sales accounts to to clean them up. And some operators are better than others, and some don't really. They just have information and it's old, and that's what it's there for. It's to house old information. But again, because this whole system works so interconnectedly, the more accurate and more consistent that you are moving forward and changing things as you go, the better.
And also, I mean, we could use your help out there. If you do find or hear or get an email from a supplier saying we're closing our doors on such and such a date, or we've moved, we've got a new location, forward that email to us. And actually, here's both of our email addresses. So you can go ahead and email that information to us, because as soon as we get it, we can go ahead and change it. And for those of you who are using the system as well, don't forget that you can go in through the supplier manager and you can request new information be put in. So don't hesitate to use those features. And the more accurate that we can become with this information, the easier it's going to be for all of you to use it too. So don't be afraid to send that information on to us. And I even get occasionally, I'll get a text or an email from somebody saying, hey, have you heard that such and such is closing, or oh, John's Pizzeria is going to be reopening. There are certain things that, especially over this past 18 months, we get these little tidbits of information. And so then it also gives us kind of a plan. So that way we can move forward and contact these, different suppliers and find out if this information is true, if the rumors are true, and then we can go ahead and correct that information. So don't hesitate to send that all to us, so that way we can make things more accurate as well. So don't be afraid to do that. One thing that's interesting, and again, don't be concerned by this, but again, that $3.1 trillion that businesses lose because of inaccurate data. They also found out that the reason that the data is inaccurate is human error. And again, we're all human. We all make the mistakes. Sometimes we're trying to get things done so quickly that we put things in going, oh, I'll correct that later. And then something else comes up before we get a chance to correct it. So again, take a few extra seconds and make sure things are put in following your consistent guidelines, and the data will work much, much better for you. And again, if you have questions, or if you are unsure of how to pull a report on certain things just to find the consistency of it, let us know. We will walk you through it. We can go ahead and set up a Zoom call with you if you want to, and take you through the processes that you would need to pull specific lists and to do things like that. So that way you can take some time and work on cleaning that data. Also, I wanted to remind, or wanted to let you guys know, if you do a Google search, or if you go onto YouTube and search data cleaning, you will come up with an endless list of videos and companies and information on how to maintain your data and how to make sure that your data is working for you. And that, again, as we started going through this, when we did research on it, to find out that this is such a common occurrence, and that it is something that plagues every company as they're building and as they're growing. It was kind of interesting to find out that there are so many videos and that there's so much information out there about it. So it's there's an endless list of resources out there. So don't be afraid to do those searches and stuff as well.
Well, you just think about the endless, CRM systems and how many people use so many different ones. And I mean, I think about it this way. When is the last time you cleaned out the contacts in your iPhone? Do you have an iPhone? In your cell phone?
My cell phone, yeah. It's true. It's very true.
I mean, I did it the other day because I was trying to find some help working an event for somebody that needed some help working an event. And I was going through contacts to see if it would spring my memory and who I could call. And I there are so many contacts that I was like, where, I don't even know who this is. These were all from a different, job I had 5 years ago. I've got tons of directors' phone numbers from trips that I led. And I will never use any of those, a lot of those contacts, and the ones especially I don't even know. But it's also something I don't just sit down and do and clean up. And I mean, if they're there, they're there. Which, it can very well be in accounts and contacts. But the less there are and the more accurate there are, the quicker it's going to be for me to find things when I need it.
Yeah.
So,
it's always good at the beginning of a new travel season, when you're on the phone with your suppliers and when suppliers are on the phone with operators, to exchange new information. It's the perfect time for you to say, we're getting ready for our new system. Are you still the person that's the main contact? Is there somebody else within your organization that I should be contacting? I have these 5 contacts in our database. Are they all still working with you? Take a few moments when you're making those initial calls at the beginning of a season, to update your information, to get the new information, so that way when you're moving forward, you actually have already done that. And again, it's, we're doing that. Sierra and her team, when they reach out to suppliers, they're constantly asking for updated information, updated contacts, updated menus. And again, a lot of times now we're working with brand new people, because there's been a rather large turnover in every industry over these past 18 months. And so there's a certain amount of training, and there's a certain amount of updates that have to be done. So it's
gonna take us a while to get corrected hotel, especially in motor coach contacts. Those, obviously we're hit very hard, and the amount of hotel and motor coach companies that we have in our system, it will take us a while to clean those out. But I know I said it, if you joined us a couple weeks ago when I was on talking about supplier manager, it really is, we really are building a community and really believe in that. So as Jim said, the more that you can help with that, when you find out that contact is no longer there, just send me an email. That was something that I chose a couple of months ago when we were onboarding so many operators to use the system instead of just, one operator. Was I knew I had deleted out a contact because that contact was no longer there, but then I got the new operator's information and that contact was in there. So I put it back in, and then I'm like, I know they're no longer there. And so instead of us just deleting contacts anymore, I created a status for contacts and supplier that says no longer with company. And so again, when that goes to trip manager or sale, or anytime you wanted to look at a supplier, you can see, that Superman is no longer with, whatever supplier. So instead of just deleting it, again, use those statuses. I know I was looking in sales, our contacts, we have active, we have inactive, we have that it's a lead, and we have that they're retired or no longer teaching. So you can use those accordingly and still not have to delete anything, but keep your records. We do the same thing in supplier. So if you notice that something says that they're the salesperson and they're not, please let me know. I'll put it in, no longer with the company, and we can get the new contact in if you have it. And if not, we can try to contact them and get that for you all.
That's brilliant. It's again, it's something it's going to take time. We'll help you through this with building your CRM, with everything that you need as far as making sure you have the most accurate accounts and contacts and stuff. So we're here to help you out with that. For those of you who may be watching that are thinking of using the system, start working on your database. Start cleaning it up now, because one of the things that we do is we will take your parts of your database, and we can take those accounts and clients and build it into your new system when you're using GTO. And in order for us to do that, it does help to have clean data, because with the clean data, it's basically, making sure everything is matched and mapped, and then it uploads. If the data is not clean, not everything uploads though. And so that's where we end up losing data and losing information. So, the cleaner the data is when you send it to us, the easier it is for us to utilize it. There's certain data streams that we get that are broken. So, they sometimes require a little more work and definition in order for us to be able to upload and utilize them. So, those are things that we work on as well.
Yeah.
As far as what do you need to do? Basically, you separate your data out. You can go in and correct the information. You figure out a way of standardization. You need to make sure that you have standardized data entry. Once you've done that, you go through and you match things up. If you find out, oh, we have 4 of the same thing listed here, here, and here, then you go to the next step, which is consolidating. So you once you've cleaned everything, once you've matched everything up, then you consolidate and you can take out erroneous, records and stuff at that point. You're basically trying to take out incomplete, incorrect, or irrelevant data. Once you get all of that out, you're left with clean data, and you're left with data that basically works for you. So, take the time, contact us if you need help with everything. Do we have any questions out there? We have, a little bit more time for a couple questions before we go. So please, go ahead and send them to the comments section, or you can, again, email them to us if you want to, and we can get back to you after the fact. Just a reminder also that GTO Coach and Go is live every Thursday at 1 p.m. So make sure you join us on Thursdays. And if you haven't done so, you can follow us on LinkedIn. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel and ring that bell, so that way you get a notification whenever there is new information that has been posted. But we do enjoy having you here with us every week for GTO Coach and Go. Sierra, any closing thoughts that you may have?
I was just thinking, these are recorded, yes? Are they on our YouTube channel?
Yes, they are.
And last week, I believe we had Corey talking about reporting.
That is correct.
Which really ties into what we were talking about today, and in being able to create accurate reports to help you, just be more successful overall. And so if you didn't catch last week's video and you want to learn a little bit about more, a little more about reporting, GTO really, really, really does some cool stuff. And the better your information that you're inputting on the sales side, the better the reports will be. And I use reports every day to do certain things. I know pretty much everyone in our team does. We can weed down to just a little bit of information out of this entire huge database that we've created just by creating a simple report. But again, we have accurate data, which helps us easily create reports to get it down to exactly what we need. So that I think today really follows up with the reporting from last week. And if you missed that, you can find it on our YouTube, and this will be there as well. But again, we can always help you create those custom reports and kind of help work through that process. We've all used the system for quite a while now, and it takes a little bit more of an advanced user to create some of the reports. So we're happy to help you walk through some of these that we're talking about to help you be more accurate.
Excellent. This is a good question. We do have a question saying, looking at an account, can I tell if there is a trip associated other than going into each account? Well, that's actually, you would have to go into the account. Go ahead, Sierra.
But I believe on the trip level, so if you want to tell the number of trips that an account has without going into them, in the trips tab instead of the accounts tab, you should be able to look at all of the trips for a certain account. So instead of doing it on the accounts level, you want to go to whatever level you're actually wanting to look at. So you're wanting to look at the trips level. So you go into trips and then you search for XYZ high school. It will bring up all the trips for XYZ high school, if that makes sense.
It does. Also, there is under each account, if you have duplicate accounts, and actually, let me see if I'm still on here. I'm trying to share this. Bear with me one second. You can actually, if you have two accounts that are basically the same, like right now I have in test environment a Delman account test and a Delman test account. How do you know if there are trips? Again, this does require that you would look in to each one and you would go to the trips tab to see this one does have one trip. If I went back and looked at the second one, I could see then that this one also has trips. So they both have trips. Now, probably the easiest way, if I was going to do something with this account, I could go back to the original account and I can see that the addresses are basically the same. The contact information is the same. If you find that that is the case, you can go to this trip, pull the trip up, and right now you can see that it's attached to Delman account test. If I hit edit, I can go ahead then and switch it to the other Delman account in their Delman test account. Then when I hit save, that means that that other account no longer has any trips to it in case I wanted to get rid of that account. You really don't want to get rid of an account if it doesn't have, or if it has trips attached to it. You want to make sure that there are no trips attached before you get rid of an account. So that way, if you do have two accounts like that that are the same and you have one trip on one account, you can switch it over to the other account. And once you switch the information, if you want to switch the contact over as well, then you can go ahead and delete that additional account. But wait until you get all of the data and all of the trips taken off of that one. And again, we can walk you through that. So if that's something that that you need more information on, by all means, we will help take you through that whole system. Okay. Well, I think we're going to close right now. So thank you all for joining us again. And remember, we are, as we've both said, we are a part of the community. We're here to make things easier for you. We're here to help you become more efficient. We're here to make sure that you are doing the most accurate work that you can possibly do. So don't ever hesitate to contact us, whether it's during these coach and goes or whether it's after the fact. We're here to help you out. And so, we will always be here for you at GTO. For those of you who are interested in GTO and may not be a part of our community yet, please contact us and we would be more than happy to take you through a demonstration of our system and show you how you too can have a business without boundaries. So, give us a call. We're very happy that you joined us today. Sierra, thank you once again for being on board with us today.
Thank you.
And I'm sure we'll have you back again because we've got a lot more information that we're going to be sharing on these Thursday Coach and Goes. Yes. So thank you all very much. We hope you have a fantastic week and we will see you again next Thursday. Take care.
Bye.